Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. So I saw a ring like this a long time ago somewhere, and I always thought it would be fun to do, but I never had a chunk of silver big enough to try it. So I'm going to do a no solder kind of faceted ring where it's got all sorts of flat surfaces at different angles all around the outside of it. And I think it'll catch the light really nice, and it should be kind of a fun ring to do. So I'm going to actually cut it out of a slab and then file it. So we'll see how that turns out. I think it'll be a fun project. It's not going to require any soldering. So if you've not soldered before, this might be a project you could take on. There's going to be quite a bit of sawing and quite a bit of filing, though. Before we get started, though, I wanted to thank some people. My patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters, and I couldn't do this without their support, I don't think. So thank you for not only helping me financially, but for also creating such a nice artistic community over there. I really enjoy interacting with you guys, and we had a nice chat this past weekend. It was really kind of cool. I have some new members over on Patreon. I have Kay Kennedy, thank you for signing up, and Lee C. and Nick. I truly value your support, and I hope that you will explore some of the features over there and get to know some of the nice people there as well, because it's a nice community. So the other group are my YouTube subscribers, and we just passed 25,000, I think it's 700 or so. So that's amazing to me, and I never ever thought I'd have that many followers, but thank you for that. Thank you also for the nice comments and the financial help with the super thanks and the buy me coffees and the merch purchases and my ebooks. That stuff really helps to keep my channel sustainable, and I probably couldn't do it without your help either, so thank you for that. All right, well, let's try and make this kind of faceted no solder ring. So I just finished filling up one of my design idea sketchbooks, so this is another one I grabbed. This particular one has flow temperatures of different kinds of solder on the back. But the real feature of these things, I think, are the dot matrix patterns in the background here. It allows you to do things a little more symmetrically if you aren't terribly good at drawing like I am not. So the previous one I used had a gauge to millimeters to inches conversion chart on the back, and some of the other ones have different charts and things like that with metalsmithing information. So check those out, they're really useful. And I find it super valuable to have a record of what I've made so I can go back and see what I did or how I did it if I want to revisit it. So get yourself one or two of those. This is what I got planned today. So I made the center circle about a size 7.5, and then I decided about how much metal I wanted to have around the outside of that. I wanted it to be relatively thick so that I could have plenty of room to work with on faceting it. It's going to be 3.9 millimeters thick, which is what this slab was. It was originally 4, I think, and then I rolled it through the rolling mill to flatten it out just a little bit. And as you can see, I've scribed out those 2 lines there. So our first step is going to be to drill a hole on the inside, kind of right near the edge. And also I'm going to drill a hole, I don't know, maybe over here, outside of it. And then we'll just saw the inside out first and then the outside. I'll probably be using double zeros, even though those are a little small for this size of a slab. You get a little more precise cut, and I feel like I get a little better control with that. Like I said, there's not going to be any soldering involved in this, and I spent a lot of time thinking about how to get these really interesting facets on here. I don't have like, you know, if you had the mechanism from a faceting machine, that would allow you to adjust the different angles and stuff like that, which would be kind of handy. And I thought of a few different ways to try it. One thing I will do probably is, once we have it cut out though, I'm going to hammer some flat surfaces in various areas to get started, and we'll file those areas really flat. I may try, and I haven't done this yet, I may stick it in one of these things here so I can hold it in place and hit it to hammer it like that to get those started, and then we'll probably just do some, you know, standard filing. I may hold it in my miter vise jig just to give me something more to hold on to keep it steady. But we'll see. It's kind of an experiment. Should be fun. So let's go start by cutting this out. Most of the time anymore, instead of using a center punch to get a starter dimple in the piece, somebody told me how to use a bowl burr to just carve a little divot in there. It distorts the metal less. And I always thought that was a good idea. That'll just keep the drill bit from chattering around and jumping everywhere. One can hope, anyway. I do not have a fancy rotary tool, alas, so I'm just going to use my drill. I find using a drill bit in my Dremel, because it only goes down to a certain number of RPMs, like 5,000 I think, it makes it harder to not break drill bits and things because it's going so fast. And I like to go a little slower and more carefully when I'm drilling through thick stuff. I'm just going to clamp that down in my bench pin. See if we can't just drill this. One. Okay, if you're interested to see how I cast this slab out of some scrap, I have a video about that you can check out. I'll put a link right at the top of the screen up here for you. Want to see that one? So we're going to start with the inside, so I'm going to feed this through here. It's not perfectly round, but it's close enough to where I can use my rotary tool to get it pretty neat. Now it's time for the outside. Okay, it looks pretty good. So I'm going to clean that up with my file and my Dremel until it's a little rounder. So I'll be back in a sec. So after quite a bit of dremeling on the inside to smooth that out, and on the outside as well, it turns out I have a little bubble that I didn't realize in the slab. I thought about fixing it, but it's just a little tiny imperfection on the inside. I'm not too worried about it. You could make a little ball out of some scrap solder it in there and just file it smooth, and it would look pretty much seamless probably. But we're doing a no solder project here today, so we're going to skip that. I am going to hammer some flat spots on the outside of this, and I was thinking I would put it in here so I could adjust it sideways and things a little bit in order to hit it from different angles and still have a solid base underneath it. That seemed like that might be an option, so let's try that. One thing I think though I'm going to do first is I'm going to file an angle on the outside just a little bit so we have kind of a striking platform there. So I'm just going to kind of work my way all around. I'd be curious what kind of ideas you guys can come up with in the comments about how you could set up sort of a more precise sort of faceting situation. I thought about using my lapidary wheel to do that, but I wanted to do something that was accessible to people who didn't have a lot of equipment as well. So right. I'm getting a really thick silver washer here. Should we give it a try and see if that works or not? Use my chasing hammer. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Definitely do a few flat spots on top. So I'm starting to kind of get some flattish spots here and there. It's distorting the rain. See, this kind of stuff is therapeutic for getting rid of all that pent-up angst you're feeling right now. Let's lay it flat on this thing and see how it does up there. Like if I want to get more of a Let's round this back out a little bit. Okay, so now I think I'm going to pick spots and start filing them to where they have a nice big flat plane, and try to use some of these starting ones that I hammered in here as kind of a point to kick off from. I think I might just clamp it in this so I have more to hold on to. These are handy for a lot of things. Let's say we want to go on this one right here. That's looking pretty cool so far. I'm not displeased. I'm going to rotate this a little bit, see if we can kind of keep that trend going. I'm not sure that hammering did all that much, honestly. So, but only one way to find some things out, right? I'm trying to change up the angle here a little bit each time. So let me get some. A little bit of variation in the way that different facets look. One of the reasons I didn't want to fix that other bubble was because I want to give this a very light polish so I don't take away a lot of the detail of the little facets. Because I like them to be really shiny and smooth, but have kind of sharp edges. Not sure if we're going to be able to achieve that or not. Let's try. Now, if you had a mill or something like that, I bet you could do this pretty easily. You just make a ring like that and then just position it in different things and have it machine off bubbles. So let's get that polished up. I'm probably going to use a blue silicone abrasive wheel, which is kind of on the fine side of things, just to smooth it out a little bit, and then we'll give it a light polish on the wheel and we'll see how it looks. Okay, well, I got things kind of polished up. I tried to preserve as much of the faceting as I could when I did it, so I didn't actually use my big wheel. And since there was no fire coat on here really to speak of, it wasn't really a big issue. I think it looks pretty nice. It's really catches the light really nicely. Looks all kind of randomly faceted. You know, I think it'll photograph pretty well. We'll see. So tell me how you might have done it. I'm curious what fancy tricks you clever people would come up with to hold it in place like that. Like I said, I think if you had a mill you could do it pretty easily. But I'm curious about what other ideas you might have. So tell me what you think. Tell me what you do. Alright, I'll take some better pictures and put them at the end. Well, that was a faceted no soldering. I hope you enjoyed that and learned something or got something useful out of that. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you go. That really helps to get my channel promoted. I would also love it if you would take a moment and visit my main channel page on YouTube. I have 660 some videos now, so there's quite a bit of content there for you to explore. I think you're almost certain to find something useful. Check it out, subscribe to my channel, there's no cost to that. The other thing is to hit the video description down below. There's information about this video as well as some important links. There's a link to my Patreon if you want to find out more about that cool community. There's multiple tiers of membership there, the lowest one being $5 a month, and that gets you all of my content without the YouTube advertisements, which is kind of nice. There's tiers above that, which include some Patreon exclusive videos as well as live streams like I was talking about earlier. So check that out. It's a really nice community, and I'd love to maybe see you over there too. Check that out. It's a really nice community with a lot of cool people. So there's also a link to my ebooks. We're currently frantically trying to finish putting together 2025s. Each year I put together an ebook that has links to all of my video tutorials from the year. And each one has a page which includes a picture of the sketch that I drew, a picture of the final outcome, a list of materials that it required to make that piece, difficulty rating, and some additional notes that I took about the project, things that I might have learned from it or things I might do differently if I was to do it again, information about the stones, that kind of stuff. So it's a great way to have a whole bunch of projects right at your fingertips and a really nice way to support my channel. So thanks in advance if you get those. Currently there's 2023 and 2024. Like I said, right after the first of the year, 2025 should be available as well. So check those out. Very useful. Finally, there's a link to my merch store if you want to get yourself one of those nice design idea sketchbooks or some other merch. There's a lot of cool stuff over there, including mugs and shirts. And but really, those notebooks are super handy, and I use them all the time. So get yourself a couple. I hope to see you next time when I do a video. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Happy silversmithing.